This episode is for every studio owner who's toyed with the idea of launching a video on demand platform, but maybe got stuck in the how do I even start phase. Today, I'm sitting down with Daniel from Uscreen. He's worked with thousands of creators, including boutique fitness pros just like you, who've turned their content into consistent monthly income. And today, he's pulling back the curtains on what is actually working in 2025. We're talking revenue expectations, common funnel mistakes, and the leanest way to launch without pro equipment or an enormous team. So if you're wanting your studio to scale beyond the four walls, it starts here. Let's dive in. Well, hi there, I'm Seran Glanfield. I'm a business and marketing strategist just for boutique fitness studio owners like you. If you're ready to be inspired and make a bigger impact, you're in the right place. All you need are a few key strategies, the right mindset, and some support along the way. Join me as I share the real-life insights that will help you grow a sustainable and profitable studio. This is the Pilates Business Podcast. Hey there, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Seran Glanfield, and today we're talking about something that often comes up amongst the studio owners that I work with, and that is how to actually make money with on-demand video. I know that for those of you who taught through COVID, you are very familiar with this, perhaps a little more familiar than you ever wished you had been. But the reality is that video on demand is actually a very powerful way to scale revenue for your studio business, but only when it's done right. And that's why I'm thrilled to bring on Daniel from Uscreen today. Daniel's been in the marketing game for over 15 years. He's worked with nonprofits, small businesses, even Fortune 300 companies. But what really sets him apart is his data-driven approach to helping fitness creators build video membership platforms that really work. So he's seen it all, from folks launching with a zero audience and still turning a profit to businesses sitting on a goldmine of content that just need the right funnel to explode. So welcome, Daniel. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's kick off and perhaps talk a little bit about what the video on demand world looks like in 2025. The growth we've seen, obviously, we saw COVID come and go, and that switch moved us a lot online. And can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen, obviously, since you've been at Uscreen?
So I've been at Uscreen since August of 2019, when the world looked a little bit different than it does today. But even then, there was the reason I joined the company was because I saw what the platform was back then and was like, oh, it just clicked instantly of like, this is how somebody can go and create their own version of Netflix. And at the time, we didn't have a community feature. We didn't have calendar. We didn't have all these robust features that we have now, but it was like, hey, you can get your own Netflix catalog. You can get your own app that has that built into it. It's seamless. It's so easy to use. And I was like, if they're here now, wow, this could be somewhere else completely different in a couple of years. And then 6 months into my time at Uscreen, COVID hit, the world shut down, and everyone overnight was like, we need your platform. So I remember hearing from our sales team that like our inbound leads overnight went from like hundreds a month to thousands a month. And so it was a very wild time in the fitness world. Was having to navigate having shut down studios and like, crap, how do we get our content in front of our customers so that they don't pull their money from us and we don't have to shut down and go figure out something entirely different. And so we helped tons of studios navigate that, tons of fitness creators, some who just happened to like launch in February of 2020, and then their business exploded the next month because everyone needed their workouts all of a sudden. So we've seen quite the transformation, and then we've obviously seen the shift back post COVID of like all those studios who went online, who took on this big, what they thought was like, hey, we're gonna do this online thing to like weather the storm. Some of those studios were like, oh, actually, we just realized we unlocked an entirely new revenue stream for the business, because now instead of just being beholden to the people within our 10-mile radius of our studio, like we're reaching people on a different continent who are consuming and loving our content. And so we've helped people navigate that. Whereas others were like, this is the heaviest burden I've ever had to bear. Like running this and my studio and like trying to maintain a normal life is just overwhelming because it's just me, or it's me and one other person or small team. And it's just too much. And then we don't feel like it's worth it. And so those went back to just the studio model. So like we've seen kind of the full spectrum of experiences. And in 2025, like it's so interesting to see how far not only our product has come, but like the education of our users or our customers at Uscreen, which is like I used to go to we had this conference we would go to every year. And in 2021, I went, that was the first gathering post-COVID, even though I think we still had to take COVID tests to get into the conference. But I got there and people would come up to our table and be like, what's Uscreen? And it would take like a few paragraphs of description from me for people to understand what we did, how it worked and all those things. Now, when I go to a conference, like next week, I'll be in New York with a number of our customers just spending time together. But even if I walk up to somebody on the street or, run into somebody at a conference and they're like, oh, what's Uscreen? I'm like, oh, we're a video monetization platform where people can sell a membership, they can sell courses, they can sell rentals, do pay-per-view live streams, all these things. It just clicks. There's no like, oh, how does that work? Or what does that look like? They just get it now. And so we've benefited significantly from this kind of maturing of the market over the last 5-6 years, in that it doesn't take as long for people to understand what we do and how we do it. And so that's beneficial for us in that like the sales cycle doesn't take 10 months. It takes 30 days now because people just get it. And because they're able to get that faster, it also helps them reasonably their timeline to success is shorter because they're not having to like wrap their mind around this model that they don't really understand, or whatever it is. So that's kind of where we sit these days. And like you're going to hear, I've been hearing since 2012, like YouTube is saturated or this industry is saturated. You're like, it's 2025. People are still saying that and it's still not true. And the same goes for like our industry. Like is it more mature? Yes. Is it saturated? No.
Yeah. No, and I think it's worth sort of just, talking a little bit about that, because I do think that is a common misconception that there is, it's been done before. So therefore, someone else is doing a online Pilates thing, probably not the place that I should spend my time. But that's not how I would approach it necessarily. But like you said, it's a different market today. So let's talk a little bit about what does it really take in 2025 to start a video on demand platform and to be successful? Can you dive into a little bit of the details?
Yeah, I'll say this. If you are fitness, Pilates, yoga instructor, any of those things, and you have either run your own studio or you have you've taught classes, and maybe you've taught classes at a specific gym, or you've been one of those instructors who runs from studio to studio all over the city to teach classes all day. If you've done that, you have what it takes to make something work online too. And because what it takes is just a relentless pursuit of like showing up and figuring it out as you go. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that like when it comes to building an online business, the dream is you're sitting on the beach and you're just getting notifications
ding, ding.
and yeah, like a cash register is just going off nonstop. Can that happen? Absolutely. We see it happen all the time. Is that normal? Depends on the person, depends on the business. But like ultimately, you're starting a business. Like are you a creator? Sure. I actually don't like referring to our customers as creators because I think it undersells what they do. And I think they're actually all entrepreneurs. And I think most of them don't actually think of themselves as entrepreneurs. They're just like, I'm just trying to figure this out. And I'm like, well, you need to make the mindset shift of you are an entrepreneur because it's going to make the hardships easier. And I know that seems contradictory in nature, but like so many of the people I talk to are like, this is just so hard. And I wasn't expecting it to be so hard. And I was like, and I asked them, like, you started a business and you didn't think it was going to be hard. That's what starting a business is. And in fact, starting a business, even successful businesses, are more, while they're defined by their successes, if you look at the track record, the fail rate is like, or not the fail rate, but like the number of things you get wrong and fail at while doing the business is like 70 to 80% probably, maybe even higher. Like it's kind of like a baseball batting average. If you get up to the plate and you hit the ball once out of every 3 times you're at the plate, you're one of the best hitters in the league. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. If you can get up and make not even a home run, just a base hit, 1 of every 3 experiments, you're doing great. And so I think people just come in not expecting that. And so making sure people or entrepreneurs are able to come to terms with that early in the journey, I think is like one of the biggest things I try to communicate with customers, because I'll talk to customers who are all over kind of the lifespan of their business. But I know that if I can get in early and have like very honest conversations with them about what it's going to look like, the likelihood that they'll be discouraged declines significantly, because they're like, this is just a part of the journey. I think it takes a very, very strong will and mindset. So like if you're in the fitness world and you're able to force yourself to get up out of bed and work your butt off for hours a day, sweating, whatever, in addition to everything else you're doing, like you can do this too, is what I'll say about that. In terms of like other things, like the more practical side of things, that's more of the mindset, psychological thing. But in terms of more practical, you don't have to go out and watch 100 YouTube videos about the best camera or the best microphone or the best lights. The best camera you've got is the one that you have. Like this is perfectly fine. We have tons of customers who have only ever used their phones for their business, and that's fine. Should you upgrade at some point? Like you should make it a priority to improve your production. But when you're getting started, there's nothing wrong with using your phone. And there are microphones you can get that will attach to your phone. Because I think, honestly, if you're going to invest in something right out of the gate, it should be audio. If you don't have clear audio in 2025, people don't like that. Like they're not very forgiving. And lighting, don't worry about it. You can figure it out later. But I think the other thing really important to figure out is who you're for. And some of this speaks to like brand. But in this day and age, when there are so many fitness businesses out there, so many digital fitness presences online, so many online Pilates businesses, so many online yoga businesses, the thing that like you can't just go create a generic fitness approach anymore. There has to be something unique, and it can be your personality. It can be the specific method that you teach. Maybe you've come up with this revolutionary yoga practice that no one's ever heard of. Like we have some very interesting niche approaches to fitness that you like. If I told you about them, you're like, I never would have thought of that. But those businesses have a hold and people remember them because it's unique, and that you've got to figure out what your unique, you could call it a value proposition. You can call it whatever you want, but like you have to figure out your unique approach that is going to draw people towards you, because it's very much like a personality. Like there are people who will naturally gravitate towards me because of my personality. There are also people who will naturally gravitate away from me or be repelled by that personality. And that's okay. You have to be comfortable with understanding that you're going to attract some people and you're going to repel others. And that's just kind of the nature of life. And if you can hone in on your unique approach and what about your language or that approach that draws people in, you can then kind of shout that through a megaphone and let more people know. And that's the goal, is like you can try to reach everybody, but just keep your message consistent in your approach. And even if let's say you get a reel that goes viral and you get 1 million views, great. It's okay that only 20 of those people or 100 of those people are going to make it to your website from that reel or whatever it is, because those are the people you want and those are the people you need to focus on serving.
Yeah. a lot of really great tips in there, I have to say. And I think one of the ones that really stands out is, number one, yes, you are building a business, and that means you have to have a strong value proposition. You have to know what problem you're solving and for whom, right? And then you need to package that into a marketing message and a brand message that showcases and conveys and articulates that value in a way that's really compelling to the people that you want to work with. And I think, you captured all of that. It was so, and so many, it's so powerful to hear it from you too, because we talk about this a lot. You can't just put a video out and expect for it to take off.
I mean, maybe you'll get lucky every now and then on YouTube or Instagram and like the algorithm will pick you up, but you have to be comfortable knowing that, and I talked to somebody about this the other day. A customer I was talking to was like, I had this reel go viral. It got 5 million views and I don't feel like I got any free trials from it. And I was like, I don't care. Like that, the fact that you got those views is progress in itself, because the goal of content like that is not to get people to convert. Like you've probably heard of a sales funnel where you have the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. Top of the funnel for a lot of people is social media. The middle of the funnel is like an email list. And then the bottom is getting people onto a landing page where they convert to a sale. Now, what people who are not like as entrenched in marketing as I am, what a lot of people don't know is that like there are actually funnels within your funnel, and social media itself is a funnel. And so when you get that viral reel that gets hundreds of thousands, tens of whatever viral is for your social presence, whether it's 1 million, 100,000 views, whatever, when you get that viral view, that is the top of your social funnel. And you cannot expect 1 million people to watch your reel and then take action off of it, because most of them, it's their first time ever coming across you or your brand on social. And so the goal is for them to be like, I really like that, or I really like that person or what they said or how they react in the comments or whatever. I'm going to go to their profile and follow them, or just binge some of their content. And then inevitably the algorithm will then serve them more of your content, and then they'll follow you, and then they'll keep falling down the rabbit hole, and then they'll get to your other content, which is ultimately then focused on either providing them value or pulling them over to your website for whatever the next level of the experience is, whether that's getting on an email list or converting on some sort of paid offer. But I think people just forget that like there are levels and stages to this journey, and as much as you're going to want to rush it, you can't. And you force people to take specific actions. All you can do is design an ideal journey for your ideal customer, and people will naturally fall into that and self-select, but you have to have that journey properly set up. And again, I run into more times than not, people do not have that journey properly set up.
So what would you say an effective funnel looks like for a video on demand platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a year ago, I would have given you a different answer than I'll give you today, which is it depends, which is the worst answer to hear from someone like me. I can give you like a generic funnel should look like free content on social media that leads to getting people's email address. Ideally, you're exchanging that email address for some piece of something valuable, something that your audience perceives as valuable, whether it's a PDF nutrition guide or a workout plan, or like right now I've been downloading couch to 5K running plans like it's my job, because it's easier to procrastinate running than it is to actually force myself to go run. But like I exchange my email address for those plans, and then those coaches end up emailing me and trying to build up that relationship. And then they'll inevitably be like, well, if you just want a run coach to like harass you and tell you what to do via text or email or whatever, then I have this offer for $100 a month or whatever it is. And so that's like a pretty normal funnel. So social, email address in exchange for a piece of free content to paid offer. That's like the simplest, most generic version. Now, I have been working hands-on with tons of Uscreen customers for the last 6 months. Actually, and these are customers who are great at their content, but when it comes to marketing, they're like, I don't want to learn. I have no idea what to do. I'm afraid of all the options, like, and so they're just like stuck in this inertia of, I don't know what to do next. And so I've been coming alongside customers like that and helping them build their funnels or fix them and all those things. And funnels look different for different businesses.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you have an audience of 500,000 people or 1 million plus, your funnel by nature can look very different than somebody else's. And the reason for that is the volume of content that is needed for someone like that to have a platform that big is necessarily large. Like, they have thousands of videos. And so people are able to build trust with that creator just from that free content. And so rather than having to have this long drawn out journey, those people can be like, hey, I have this paid thing, go check it out. And people will convert just because they have that, they have authority. They have, they've built some relational equity. They've been providing value in the form of all this content. It's like, I still think they should go the route of like email address, and even make like a free trial or whatever. I think that's the optimal path because it focuses more on the customer getting, like, their users getting value than them. Whereas like if you just send them to a free trial or a paid offer, it's more about the creator getting the value. And I think long term that's less effective, but it's possible. But on the scale of like the average creator who has anywhere from 10 to 100,000 followers on any given platform, I think you have to figure out a little bit more there. And so some businesses need a longer funnel where it's like free content to a paid freebie, or I'm sorry, free content to a freebie that you get in exchange for an email address, to like a one-time paid offer of like $5 to $50 that people get value from. And it only takes them like 2 to 4 weeks to get value from that.
Yeah.
And then you try to sell them into a membership or a higher ticket course. Yeah. I think that's a very strong funnel. But that one takes a bit longer for the sales process to happen. So like some people don't like that because like, I don't want to have to wait 30 to 45 days for
conversion,
a customer to pay.
Yeah.
In which case I think you could just like pull out the one-time purchase thing and instead add that as like an off-ramp. Because not everyone, what I mean by an off-ramp is like you get people on your email list and then you start trying to sell them about the membership. And after a certain point, they've heard about it. They know the offer exists. If they didn't buy, you're going to be hard pressed to like twist their arm to get them to buy. In which case it's like, well, if you don't want this, here's an off-ramp and here's this one-time purchase. And so you can still get value from them. They can still get value from you, but it's not on the recurring basis.
Yeah.
So I think that's another version. So, like I said, funnels can look very different, but the core is like free content, email list, paid conversion.
Yeah. And throughout that, regardless of the funnel with the different parts to it, you know, I imagine that what will ultimately, or from my experience at least, what ultimately creates success in a funnel like that is the messaging and the brand messaging throughout that funnel. So you're building, the reason why those some businesses get a really high conversion at the end of the funnel is because they've got powerful marketing messaging throughout and they're building a relationship. And when you're building relationships online, in my experience, it's a bit more challenging than building relationships face to face. It takes a bit more effort generally to convey your personality, to bring people in, to have them trust you. And so the touch points and the messaging throughout that customer journey, throughout that funnel is probably pretty important, right?
I think people there are like a lot of things I think people get wrong, but I kind of boiled it down to 5 things. And the funnel is definitely one of the biggest ones. The other thing is like people think they know their audience and they really are just making a lot of assumptions about them, which then leads them to the wrong messaging and the wrong way to sell to that audience. So I think listening to your audience is a huge one. And then messaging, which in my opinion takes biggest shape in the form of calls to action that are not exciting and are really boring. Like what's more likely to get you to act? Something that says sign up now, or something that's like unlock your future, whatever it is. One of those has more energy than the others. And that it seems stupid. It's subtle, but it makes a difference in how people feel when they're interacting with you and your brand. So calls to action, people are really bad at selling. I think this is actually very prevalent in the fitness world and in the Pilates and yoga worlds, because what you get is somebody who started a business and is like, I have this thing that I do for people, or that I help people with, or that I provide for them to help them. I have this audience. I should just tell them one-to-one about the thing. And so what happens there is like, that would be like if I got on a call with you or anyone listening to this and was like, I'm going to change your life, but it's going to cost you $2,000 a month for the next 3 months. What do you think? You'd be like, absolutely not. Not a chance that we're going to do that. And I could be like, but wait, let me tell you about all these features of what it's like to work with me. Like, you get access to a book that I wrote, and you get access to DM me on Instagram. Like, whatever these silly features are that you're like, I have these features and they're very helpful for you. They're still going to be like, no. Like, that's not the case. But if I got on a call with you and I said, here's the thing. I've been working in marketing for 15 years. I've been working at Uscreen for 6 years. Prior to Uscreen, I worked at a membership content business that did nearly $1 million in annual revenue, where I was one of two full-time employees, and there were a few contractors. And at Uscreen, I've spoken to probably thousands of customers over the last 6 years. I've actually been working with some hands-on for the last 6 months, and on average, they're growing 20 to 30% as a result of working with me. And that includes one customer who currently has their highest number of members ever that they've had in 5 years on the platform because they're working with me. Another one, their revenue went from 0 when they launched to over $10,000 in their first month, when they were expecting to get 100 members and they got 300 instead as a result of working together. Another one just hit their highest revenue month ever. And another, like, I could go on and on about these. The point is, I'm working hands-on with these customers, and I have nearly a decade of experience helping people be successful with their businesses, regardless of whether they do fitness or yoga or Pilates or dog training or kids education. It doesn't matter. I have a formula, and I know exactly what we need to do to diagnose what's wrong with your business and get you moving forward with growth. Now, based on that, would you be interested in working with me for 3 months? That's a whole lot different of an explanation or a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And most people just default to being like, I'm going to list out features, when that's not really what works and moves people to action. What is a better approach is like, just tell us, share the stack of evidence of who you are and what you've done. Like, how many customers have you worked with over your career in fitness? Tell me about your favorite success stories that you've seen from all of that time. And then tell me about your experience. Like, when did you start doing this? Why did you start doing this? What's your favorite thing about it? Like, tell people those things, and the selling part becomes a whole lot easier, because you're not selling. You're talking about who you are, what you've done, how you did it, and why that matters. And that's so much more of a compelling journey than the other version.
100%. Absolutely. That's gold right there. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. So I want to switch gears really quickly and talk about what I think is probably the biggest question that people want to know the answer to, but probably never ask. And that is, how much money can you make with an on-demand platform that's realistic?
Anything's realistic if you believe. It sounds like a Disney movie. I'll say this: we have customers across the spectrum. We have some who make hundreds a month, some who make thousands, some who make tens of thousands, some who make hundreds of thousands, and some who make millions a month. And they have all shapes and sizes of audience. If the best place to start is like if you're going to do this, having an in-person audience is great, but you need to build your online audience too. And that's kind of like inevitable. I've seen, out of the tons of customers I've spoken with over the years and people doing this digital business thing, I've only run into a handful that are successful, that do not have an online audience of some sort. And they've built up other mechanisms. Like, I met somebody who went all in on SEO years ago and it's paid off. And she was like, I wanted to build the business, but I did not want to do social media. And so I went this route. Right. I've literally seen that
one time of thousands and thousands.
So
I'm
not saying go in on SEO, because now is not the time to go into SEO with all the turmoil of AI and cannibalizing search and all those things. But all that to say, like, if you don't have an online digital audience, you need to be building one. So I would say you need at least 15,000. That's like comfortable. I'm working with a customer who was there not long ago. And she's doing great, like making a full-time income from her audience with less than 20,000 followers on Instagram. So it's doable at that point. So that's like my number one recommendation is do that. And if you have at least that audience, I think it's feasible to build a high 5-figure revenue business, digital business. And that's just from the video monetization platform. That's not counting, like, at that stage, you can probably go get sponsorships of some, like if you want to do sponsorships on Instagram, or if you have a YouTube channel and you want to do ad reads, that's not counting affiliate revenue, which is a big thing for a lot of people on Instagram. It's not counting ad revenue if you do YouTube or something like that. So like it could be the main income source, but it's not the only one. And then some of these people are still doing in-person studio classes as well. I'm helping 3 customers right now who all teach in person, and they're starting the digital platform. They have their audience ready. They're locked in and excited to go. But I think that's kind of a prerequisite. So I think if you have at least that audience, you can make a healthy income, like high 5 figures, maybe even into 6 figures or multiple 6 figures a year. As a last example, I know of a customer who, when the pandemic kicked off, started going live on Instagram like every day, I think. And quickly her audience skyrocketed to like 17 or 20,000 people. That audience is now up to like 30,000 people on Instagram. So still not like a massive audience, but they are so dedicated and in love with her. Her audience cannot get enough of her, that she's making like high 5 figures a month from an audience that's not like we have people who have audiences of millions who don't even make that right amount of money. So like it's all kind of a spectrum and it's all relative. So the more engagement, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, the more engagement and loyalty that you can cultivate on your free platforms, the better off your business is going to be. If you're not focusing on driving engagement from those followers, it's going to be really hard, because I've people who have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but their engagement's so low that they're struggling to get that to convert to meaningful revenue for their business.
Yeah.
Engage.
Yeah. And that means you have to show up and be consistent. You know, the last kind of myth I want to bust here is that you don't have to, this is like some, people still say, oh, passive income. No, there's nothing passive about this. And you have to show up and be active, engaged, and cultivate, like you said, cultivate that relationship with the clients. Yeah, for sure. This was such a goldmine of insights and information, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. Do you want to just let us know where people can find out a bit more about Uscreen, or tell us a little bit about what's possible with Uscreen today?
Yeah, so you can find us uscreen.tv. It's the letter U, SCREEN, not like YOU. And then you can find me on YouTube on Uscreen's channel, where I put out at least a video a week, and have for 6 years on that channel. And those are probably the best places to learn more about us. I could go on and on about the platform forever, because I use it daily. I'm working on our customers' platforms daily to help them. So I could talk about it forever, but I won't bore you with that. I'll let you kind of explore it on your own. Check out the content on YouTube, and I think that'll be a great step for you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to link to all of that in the show notes as well, so you guys can just click down below wherever you're listening to this. Thanks again, Daniel. It was fantastic to have you here. I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I hope this is really helpful to you as you go about building your boutique fitness business, whether it's online or in studio. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, I'd be so appreciative if you could take a quick minute, go to wherever you're listening to this, and rate and review this podcast. It would mean a ton to me and would help to get this out into our amazing community of boutique fitness studio owners.
Did you love this episode and want more? Head to spring3.com and check out my free resources that will help you run a profitable and fulfilling studio business. And before you go, one last reminder, there is no one way to do what you do, only your way. So whatever it is that you want to do, create, or offer, you've got this. Thanks again for joining me today and have a wonderful rest of your day.